For decades, a widely accepted academic view has been that happiness follows a U-shaped curve throughout a person's life. This theory suggests that happiness peaks during youth and old age, while it dips to its lowest point around middle age, typically around 50. However, this traditional belief is now being challenged. Recent research led by David Blanchflower, a tenured professor of economics at Dartmouth College, indicates that the lowest point of happiness, or the peak of despair, has shifted to young adults aged 18 to 25. Blanchflower, along with Andrew J. Oswald, first introduced the U-shaped happiness curve in 2008, and it quickly gained widespread recognition. The reverse of this happiness curve is the despair curve, which traditionally peaks around the age of 50. This concept, supported by 618 published studies, has shown that from 1973 to 2017, a midlife dip in happiness around age 50 was observed across 146 countries. These findings have long been cited as academic evidence for the so-called midlife crisis. However, in April of this year, Blanchflower and his co-authors published new findings in a working paper through the National Bureau of Economic Research, NBER. This study, based on longitudinal surveys from the United States and the United Kingdom, focused on specific questions related to mental health, analyzing data by age and gender. They defined despair as respondents who reported poor mental health on every day of the past month in response to the question, thinking about your mental health, including stress, depression, and problems with emotions. For how many days during the past 30 days was your mental health not good? In the United States, between 2009 and 2022, the proportion of young people experiencing feelings of despair surged dramatically. This was evident in comparisons both with older generations and with young people from previous decades. The situation was particularly alarming among young women. While the percentage of young men who reported poor mental health for all 30 days increased from 3.0% to 7.3%, the percentage for young women rose from 5.6% to 10.6%. Notably, 12% of 23-year-old women reported that their mental health was poor every day. The researchers also analyzed data from the UK Household Longitudinal Study, UKHLS, spanning 2009 to 2021. In 2009 to 2010, about 8% of respondents were classified as being in a state of despair. By 2020 to 2021, this figure had risen to 12%. The despair curve in the UK showed a similar trend of decreasing with age. Among those aged 40 and above, there was little change in the age-related characteristics of despair, but a significant increase was observed among those under 40, particularly those under 25. Blanchflower has noted that the term despair here should not be taken literally or measured directly, but rather as an indication of individuals who gave extreme responses, i.e., reporting poor mental health for all 30 days in the BRFSS survey. These individuals are, in a sense, saying, "Every day of my life is awful." He argues that it is crucial to pay attention to these extreme cases, as they are likely among those most at risk for suicide or death from despair. Beyond the shifts in the despair curve, Blanchflower and his research partner, Professor of Quantitative Social Science Alex Bryson, explored the disappearance of the U-shaped happiness curve in a subsequent blog post. Using data from the Behavioral Risk Factor Surveillance System, BRFSS, they compared the average responses of people of different ages in the U.S. to the question, overall, how satisfied are you with your life? In stark contrast to the clear U-shaped curve observed between 2005 and 2018, by 2022, life satisfaction, or happiness, was found to increase with age. This finding aligns with another study published in August 2022 in JAMA Psychiatry. This study, based on data from the 2022 NORC AmeriSpeak survey of 8,618 individuals, identified 6 indicators of happiness: overall happiness, health, meaning, character, relationships, and financial stability. Respondents self-reported their scores on a scale from 0 to 10. The results showed that both overall happiness and each individual indicator increased consistently with age. This trend may not be confined to the US and UK alone. It could be global. Blanchflower and colleagues analyzed depression, PHQ, and life satisfaction scores from a survey conducted by the University of Luxembourg between 2020 and 2022 in France, Germany, Italy, Spain, and Sweden. Their findings were consistent. Depression scores decreased, and life satisfaction scores increased with age. Additionally, the researchers observed similar trends in 82 countries, including China, India, Sweden, Japan, Qatar, and Tanzania, where psychological well-being improved with age. We never imagined that young adulthood would represent the lowest point of happiness, Blanche Flower remarked in an interview with Barron's. At that stage, people are just beginning their lives. It shouldn't be the time when they are most anxious, most depressed, or most hopeless. This indicates a significant problem. Blanche Flower emphasized that this issue is not only severe on an individual level, but also has broader implications for the labor market. Since the 2008 to 2009 financial crisis, labor force participation in the U.S. has sharply declined. Who is leaving the labor market? In many cases, it's those with mental health issues. He argued that psychological distress reduces the lifetime earnings and consumption capacity of affected individuals, further diminishing the nation's economic potential. As to why unhappiness is rising among young people, there is currently no consensus. Initially, Blanche Flower suspected that the COVID-19 pandemic was to blame, but he found that the decline in young people's mental health began around 2011, with the pandemic merely continuing this trend. The connection between economic downturns, shrinking labor markets, and the increase in despair among young people is more significant than many might realize. Research by labor economist David Ellwood suggests that unemployment during youth can leave a lasting scar, leading to less favorable employment prospects and lower wages for an extended period. Blanche Flower and his colleagues also highlighted the negative impact of the widespread use of smartphones and social media on young people's mental health. In another working paper published through NBER, this was a central focus. Speaking on this topic, Blanche Flower mentioned in an interview, the correlation between rising unhappiness and screen time is significant, though not sufficient to prove causality. Nevertheless, the correlation is too apparent and too concerning to ignore. He stressed that action must be taken regarding young people's exposure to social media. Other researchers have expressed differing views. While some acknowledge that excessive use of social media is likely harmful, they argue that pinpointing its exact impact and attempting to mitigate it is extremely challenging. They believe that technology itself has introduced new social opportunities and ways for peers to interact. Once this box is opened, it cannot be closed.